One of the frustrations in golf, I think, is when people are constantly working on different things they've read about, looked at, heard really good advice from people, and they have a tendency not to do the same thing, twice. They're always experimenting. So one of the things that's important to do is develop a pre-shot routine, a routine that makes it, you do it the same way every time, as long as you're doing it, obviously, correctly. And so, but developing a pre-shot routine will get things flowing so much better. So one of the things that I've worked on and I've worked on with all my students is a kind of a threefold deal. We strategize, we visualize, and then we actualize. So the strategy is, where's my target? What target am I looking at, and what club is going to get me there? And so that's the thinking part. Is there any wind or anything that's going to come in the way? So my thinking at this point is over. I've got the club, I've got the target in mind, I know where to go. Now I'm going to visualize that shot, what it looks like in the air and what it's going to look like heading towards that target. So that's my visualization. My little routine is I grip the club, I aim the club face to the ball, to the target, then I set my stance last. I take one last little waggle just to relax, I turn, swing, and then I hold my finish until I see the ball drop to give a good visual of where it's going. So remember, routine creates rhythm. It's all about good rhythm. If you create that good routine, I guarantee you'll make better golf shots. The short game is really important in getting strokes off your game. This is an area where people can waste a lot of shots, and a lot of it is they don't make good decisions based on the type of club and the type of shot they want to hit. So in this situation, I've got a couple different shots here. I'm well off this green, but I don't have anything in between me and the hole that can keep me, and I want to roll this ball as many times as I possibly can, and my best roller is the putter. And so again, when we're talking about putting and longer strokes, it's a swinging motion. All I'm doing is coming back and through based on how far the ball needs to go. Obviously with a little bit more surface to get through, it might feel like you need to go a little bit more, but again, it's never a hit. It's a swing and releasing the ball towards the hole. So it's a swinging motion, not a hit. So when I step up here again, this is my best roller. I don't have any reason to not use this from here to the hole. I go back and through and just let the swing of the putter get me through and get me to the hole. It's a lot more consistent. If in fact I have an issue and I have a problem with something between me and the hole, like this, I've got to get over this sprinkler head. Obviously, I can't putt this because I can't get the ball off the ground enough. So I'm going to go back to chipping the ball. And the chip shot is, again, it's still a little bit of a straight line movement, but I just go back and through, almost like a putt, just a little bit of weight shift. But all I'm trying to do is just kind of chop the grass. Kind of a chip is a chop. So when I get set up, playing off my back foot a little bit, but again, just more like a putting stroke. I'm just going to chop, let the ball get up in the air, and get onto the green and roll towards the hole. The final shot, and again, this is something that a lot of people have a harder time with, and this is more of a lob shot. And again, it's a swinging motion. We're going to have to get the ball up in the air and have it lob because I have to carry it over this and have it land pretty soft. So this is more of a long swing, nice and relaxed with more lofted club. As I toss the ball up in the air, that's the swinging motion that I want to make with this club. So again, the lob shot is more of a little bit longer, looser shot because I'm just trying to get the ball to get up in the air and land soft. So again, I swing my arms nice and soft and let the club get up in the air and land near the hole. You got to make good decisions in the short game. Pick the proper club, experiment a lot in short game practice areas so you can get a good feel for which club you need to use in what situation. Okay, today we're going to talk about the golf swing. And the reason I emphasize swing, you say really, and that's what we're supposed to do, but most people have such a hard time getting over the fact that the golf club is what picks the ball up in a motion, and we get so ball bound, we try to hit the ball. So we're not trying to hit and lift the ball, and I see that often as people try to hit and lift. We're going to talk about a golf swing, which just sends the ball to the target, and not talking about hitting hard impact. We're going to talk about swinging the club with some speed and launching the ball. One of my favorite tools is this tempo ball. If anybody's taken a lesson from me has seen this, but this is just it's a swinging motion. We're swinging the golf club, that circular motion around our body that just then picks the ball up on the way through instead of trying to hit the ball and help it along. So the focus more is on swinging, relaxed, arms are relaxed, so you get club head speed and not trying to hit the ball. Don't focus on impact, don't help the ball up in the air. We're just letting the club swing. So as we go through that one more time with the ball, the ball just gets in the way, and I just call this incidental contact. Again, the same feeling as you see me swing this golf club, just like you were swinging the ball. And then when you get up to the ball, it's just a swing that sends the ball forward, and there's very little effort that gets it going. So remember, you ain't got a thing if you ain't got a swing. All right, here we are at a day of the beach. This is one of those things that people dread coming into a bunker, but it actually can be your friend. If you look at guys on tour and better players, hitting out of a bunker is not that difficult if you just allow the club to do the work, and just like any other club in your bag. Where we go wrong with bunker shots is we try to hit and lift and all the same things we do on other shots. So real simply, the bunker, all we're trying to do is we're just trying to splash sand out onto the green. We don't want to hit the ball. It's just swinging the club and throwing sand out on the green. This little thing I have right here, it's called the splash board. And you can see I've just put sand on this heavy plastic board, and all I'm going to do, and the ball's on top of it, so I'm just going to feel like I'm just splashing all that sand out. The ball's just going to be carried out on that sand, and it just goes right out there and almost goes in the hole. Again, very firm underneath there, but I splashed the sand out and the ball just was picked up and carried through. Some of the problems that I see mostly with people is, again, the weight needs to be forward as I'm throwing the ball out of the bunker. A lot of you would love to probably do this. I go forward and I'm throwing it out. Again, I'm not trying to hit and lift, or I'm not trying to come up and lift the ball, because that's when you hit it thin. So when you get to the ball, again, it's just, remember, you can't ground your club first. You just have to kind of keep it above the sand. When I get in here, I'm going to dig my feet in just a little bit so to make sure that the club goes, below the ball. And again, I just visualize, again, there's my circle. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to splash that sand and let the club just be thrown out with the sand. Again, weight is more forward, making sure I keep my weight going forward, come back and splash the sand, and the ball just gets thrown out. So don't be intimidated by bunkers. Practice swinging, practice splashing the sand out of the bunker, and you'll be a lot more happy, and I guarantee you it's not as intimidating as it looks. But you've got to practice relax feeling and throwing that sand out. One of the things I see often and most of the time that people really struggle with is kind of the angle of attack that they're coming in on the ball. And most people it's easier with a iron in the shorter clubs than it is with the longer clubs, the driver particularly. So we're just going to focus on a little bit of how to get the club swinging a little bit more on a level plane, so the loft of the club gets the ball up in the air and we don't have to hit it. So one of the things I see a lot is people, when they get here, they're coming down on the ball. And for those of you that pop the ball up, it's probably because you're hitting the top part of the driver, and that's just what pops it straight up, as opposed to swinging again that circle around your body and staying nice and level on the way through. So as I get up here and I swing the driver, again, I want to keep it level on the way through, so it just picks the ball up and I'm not hitting down on it. One way to check that, and it's a great little way to figure out how to keep level on that plane is, a lot of people think that this is, it's a lot of energy and extra effort to get that ball airborne. So we're gonna do a little drill here where if I'm swinging around my body here and I dip down or I come here to hit the ball, I'm gonna hit well behind this ball. But if I swing nice and level on the way through, back and through, and just get this rotation going, I can pick the ball up really easily and hit it down the fairway. But most people I see trying to do this, when I've had my students try to do this, is they'll do that and literally hit behind it or not even hit the ball. So again, we're swinging around our body nice and level, just picking the ball up and launching the ball almost as far as I can when I'm standing up. Today we're going to start out by talking about the basic fundamental of how to hold on to the golf club in the grip. So many people I see, they just never really pay attention to it, and the grip is really the thing that controls the club face and sends the ball to where you want it to go. So as we start out, we just want those arms to hang nice and relaxed, hanging from our side, and you let those hands hang naturally. And then when we grip the club, we want that on the club the same way, to where it's a nice natural feel so we can swing the golf club. And as we apply both hands together, that they work in unison. The things that I see that are the most common problems, I see a lot of people with too strong of a grip, where they put the right hand, the left hand on top and the right hand underneath here too far, and it shuts the club face down and makes it really difficult to get the ball airborne and on target. The other problem that I see with people is a little bit too of a weak grip, and so when their hands are on the club in a weak position, the club face at impact then turns this direction, and that's where a lot of people hit the high push slice. So we're going to talk about just how to get the hands on there in a really neutral position, so when that club comes back to the ball, it's in a real square position and makes the ball, sends the ball to where you want it to go. There's a couple of really nice training grips that we can apply, but you can see when the hands are on the club properly, you see these two V's right here that it kind of points just off to your right shoulder. And that's what gets the club face square. If it's in a weak position, then you'll see these V's in the wrong position and it turns the club face too open, as opposed to also if it's really strong, you're going to kind of miss out on that nice neutral position, which brings the club back to the ball consistently. So it's real important to start out with a really nice neutral grip, and we can work on a little bit stronger or weaker if necessary, but the neutral grip to letting those arms just hang straight down by your side, nice and relaxed, and let those hands just be in a natural position on the golf club. So we're going to talk today a couple things about lie angle, as far as on getting the proper fit on the irons, as well as the length and flex of the shaft for drivers and fairway woods. So first we're going to start out with what is important about the lie angle in the golf club. The lie angle is this angle right here that brings the club back to the ball consistently. And if you don't have the proper lie angle to fit your body type and your swing, you're not going to be able to make good contact at the ball. So a proper lie angle, you'll see the trajectory will go right down the target line. If I've got a club that is too flat for me and comes in toe heavy, the ball is going to start out to the right of the target, or vice versa. If I have one that's too upright for me, it's going to start out to the left, and I have to make a compensating move to make that go back to the target. So getting properly fitted on lie angle and length and the length on the irons is really, really important. The second part is, I've been asked, is shaft length, shaft flex, all that important for drivers? So honestly, if I have this and I want to hit it really straight, this is a pretty short shaft, and I can really hit it straight down the fairway, but I probably won't be able to hit it very far. Now I'll just say, well, how long do I need to get that shaft? And how flexible do I need to get it? So if I get a shaft that's this long, it should produce a lot more speed, but won't be very accurate. So they're obviously getting properly fitted on the length of the shaft, and the flex of the shaft is going to help you get that nice, swing, and it's going to connect with what your swing speed is and your body type is. So here's the proper length, the proper flex, and if I take my swing, then I get that kind of golf shot, and the ball goes right down the middle. So go get fitted, get the proper clubs in your hand. You'll enjoy this game a lot more. Today we're going to talk about how to get set up properly in order to get the ball sending towards our target. One of the biggest things in golf that I see that people get so fixed on hitting the golf ball and they forget about, this is a game of, we've got direction and we've got distance targets always in the golf game. So when we're on the golf course, there's always a specific target in mind. We get too ball bound and that's what causes some problems. So we're going to set up to make sure we get set up properly where we get the club face down to the ball to where we want the ball to go, and then we sit our feet on a parallel line to that. It's just like standing on a railroad track. The ball is on one track and we're on the other track. It's always going to be parallel. And so when we get set up, the biggest thing I see a lot of people do is they get their feet down like this, and they even rarely look at where they want the ball to go. And they typically are not set up properly, and that's going to cause problems in the swing because they're going to try to get the ball going off back to the target when it's not even lined up to that. So part of the routine that we talk about is getting our club face set up to the ball, to where we want the ball to go. Then we set our feet parallel to that line, and now we're ready to go, and we can send that ball down the target line right to the target. If everything is set up to the target, you have a lot better chance of sending it to where you want the ball to end up. So don't forget, it's all about the target. Get yourself set up properly. Today we're going to talk about putting, and again, just like the regular clubs you have in your bag, it's really important to find the putter that fits you, fits your eye, fits your height and everything, and the type of stroke you're trying to make. There's three basic types of putters out there, and the one that fits you the best is really important because it affects how the club comes into the ball. So we've got three different types. One is a severe toe hang putter that creates a lot of arc in your swing, so you can see that toe go straight down as I just relax it, and that's all the weight is more on the toe. There's a second one, it's kind of a half arc, so it's almost like it's a 45-degree toe hang. So you can see that it's just got less toe hang, but it still requires more of an arc type stroke. And then you've got the face balance putter. And this is one that a lot of people like because it feels a lot more stable. So you can see that with the face balance, you can see the face is just directly horizontal there as it goes straight up and down. There's no toe hang at all. So it requires a little bit more of a straight back, straight through type stroke. When you're practicing your putting, one of the things you want to make sure is you get understanding what your lineup is and how you're lining up to your intended target, the hole, whether it's if you've got a big break or a straight putt to the hole. And so I use alignment sticks here to help me make sure that I train my eyes properly to make sure that I have the putter lined up at the hole. So when I get into these putts, as I come in there, you got to remember that the ball is on one railroad track, you're kind of standing on the other railroad track. And so when I get into the putt, and I put 3 balls here to progressively get a little bit further back, I want to get the putter down and making sure that I keep square to that line. And then as I set my feet, now I can trust that what I'm seeing is correct, and I just go back and through, and I let the putt go. Step back to the next one, again, get that same alignment set up, my same routine that I create that alignment back and through, and then just let the putt go forward. Get to the last one, again, get everything set up the same way, take one last look, and then again, trust that alignment, get the putter rolling, and watch them all 3 go in. So progressively do that around the hole so you can get different angles as well. Move back to longer putts, and just to get a feel for your stroke getting longer and longer to create a little bit longer putt. So remember, alignment is so important. Make sure you're getting set up properly first. Get your eyes trained to make sure you know that that's the way it's lined up. make your stroke, and then trust that it's going to go in. We're going to talk about uneven lies because it just happens a lot more and people have a hard time figuring out what to do with that. So this is a ball that's below my feet. So when I get to this shot, you can see that where the ball is, I've got to really bend my knees to stay down on that level. I want to make sure that I stay with the level of the slope here. And so when I swing with the ball below my feet, the club head is going to come in and probably send the ball more to the right. So I've got to really stay down and keep my knees bent, so when I bring the club down, I can get the club back to that same level. On this other side of it, and this is probably one that I see most problems with, is that uphill lies. So if I've got a higher lofted club in my hand close by the green and I'm going to swing, again, I've got to maintain that level, staying with the same slope of the uphill shot, and you can see the trajectory. If I swing through here, it's going to go off to the left pretty fast with more of a lofted club. So I always take a little bit less lofted club, and I will choke up because, again, the ball is above my feet and I'm closer to the ball. So you can see now that's going to go straighter with a little bit less lofted club, and I won't have to swing as hard to bring the ball back to the target. So when you have uneven lies, you've got to make those compensations with the feet, how close you are to the target, the loft you have with the club, especially if you're close by that green. You don't want to use that wedge because that ball will fly right over your shoulder. So take a little bit less loft on the uphill shots, making sure that you choke down on it because you're going to be closer into that ball and you want to stay right along the slope. Vice versa, again, if you're on the downhill, you want to make sure that you keep those knees bent, kind of make sure that you keep the club nice and long, and stay with that slope. It's good to practice these things because when you get on the course, we have a tendency to really try to go up and down, and we'll hit some really poor shots. So practice it if you can find places where it's a little bit the ball below your feet, a little bit above your feet, and experiment and see what the ball does when you make your full swing. So again, don't get used to just flat lies because you very seldom have those on the golf course.